Well, I suppose they should have a Darwin Award for people who fuck with magic and sorcery and don't know what they're doing. Yes, it went ahead. The Kavanaugh binding spell went ahead yesterday in Brooklyn, and I hope one or two people who are planning to go to that or take part in that saw my video and stopped and didn't go. The others, you have my condolences. You'll probably be either dead or insane within 11 to 13 moons. You see, you cannot hex a person who did you no personal harm. You cannot hex a person. This is where all these crazy borderlines and all this stuff, all these women you meet in society who are insane these days, they've all met. So many of them have meddled in things like this, and they've gone completely bonkers because they were trying to hex an ex-boyfriend or an ex-husband or something. And yesterday was sort of like the Olympics of that in Brooklyn. Now the shop that did it, the bookstore that did it, it's obvious now they only did it for publicity. They had no ethical or moral imperative behind them doing it, so they just did it for money and for just to play on the insecurities of the mental illness of their clientele. These Stevie Nicks cosplay witchy poos who come in there trying to hex their exes. Nothing happened to them because they were not sincere in their intent. Where the unstable who went down there to go after, to want truly meaning it. Well, you see, what happens is when you hex someone who did you no personal harm, I mean, they have to come after you personally. You can't philosophically curse somebody. You know, you can't do it as a philosophical idea. It doesn't work like that. So they use the term rebound and blowback. They're not particularly accurate terms. It's more of a case of, it's like an unresolved energy. See, the energy force inherent in the actual spell of a hex, it doesn't leave them. It doesn't actually leave them. It remains on their person, because you need a negative and positive cathode, anode, neutron, proton. You need that. You need a vacuum force to fill it. And because there was no harm, just as Kavanaugh did him and the previous Trump thing, did these people no personal harm, there's no vacuum for the force to flow into. There's no neutron for the proton, no negative for the positive, no nothing. So it remains as an unresolved and uncharged force inside them. And it becomes almost like a fetus, ironically, a fetus of malignancy. The most common thing is madness. And funny enough, a lot of madness in this case comes from not sleeping. What happens is they can't sleep. There's a constant sense. Here's what. Yesterday evening they went home with a sense of delirium, a sense of like, yeah, we cursed Kavanaugh, aren't we great? Woohoo! You know, we're Wiccans. Ah. Then there was an elation there, a few glasses of wines, and with their friends later on. Then they woke up this morning and they're feeling slightly. Now, I'm not doing this because I'm mocking you or I'm glad this happened to you. I feel very sorry for you. I mean, you have my condolences. You really do. But I mean, I don't envy what you have coming towards you. But you'll have woken up this morning. The only way you can actually resolve this is to personally write a letter to Justice Kavanaugh and say you're sorry for what you did, and name your name, name yourself. You have to physically name your real name, not, call yourself by your witchy poo name, your real name, and say, like, I'm sorry for what happened, I was wrong, and that will give you a chance. It doesn't matter how you feel about him and his politics. I don't like right-wing Christians either. I'm just telling you that the laws of magical engagement have nothing to do with politics, and this is why a true witch or a true magician or a true sorcerer or anybody never gets involved in politics. You just don't get involved, and because it's not real. It's a manufactured thing. It's something you can't play with. It's all a lie. You're playing in a lie, all of it. And So you're gonna wake up this morning, you get up in the morning, you're not going to feel right. There's going to be a sense of almost like you had been violated, and it's almost like the sense of someone, if you've been beaten up or attacked or greatly humiliated or sexually molested, there's this lingering sense of ouch, tension, pain, an internal sense of something's not right. You can't quite put your finger on it. That will continue to grow until the next. You see, and also the fact you did this near Samhain. I mean, you could not have made a bigger fuck up of this if you tried. So you're going to either have entity attachment. You're definitely going to have nightmares, the likes of which you would never have in your life. It's horrific. It's going to be appalling. And this will cause your madness, because you won't be able to sleep, and you'll be and your REM sleep will be severely curtailed. And it's a fact that if you don't get proper REM sleep, you go into psychosis. And it doesn't matter if you're taking sleeping pills, you don't dream, especially if you try to medicate yourself with weed or alcohol, you won't dream at all. So the hex will just, it'll build as this unresolved energy force. It will take over your nervous system. The most common forms of ailments will be things like kinds of Parkinson type things, nervous system disorders, very common. Hysteria and an inability to communicate properly. You'll find that you're no longer, if you were a wordsmith, you're no longer able to be the wizard of words that you once were. You will find that the nightmares will increase. Malignancies, particularly things like cancers relating to the intestines, the lower stomach, the lower digestive system, are very common with people who do this. I'm just sorry. I mean, you've just done a terrible, terrible thing to yourself. And if you can, like I said, the only chance you have is to write a letter to Justice Kavanaugh apologising to him and his family directly and taking full responsibility for it, for what you did. And even that's not a certainty, but it could help you. It could help you a lot, actually. So it's worth doing it. But more than anything else, you've basically committed suicide, and the worst kind of suicide. Your mortal soul may be in great danger as well. So you've really got to work on getting your soul sorted out. Do you hear that? I don't know what kind of animal that was. A crow. Okay. You've got the Morrigan. See, the Morrigan is here to agree. I mean, I wish I had more power and more say in these things. I wish I could do more than, I mean, the YouTube channel video got about 5,000 hits. I wish I could do more. I can't. I just can't do any more than say, I'm sorry, you shouldn't have done it. Those of you, there's 2 interviews I did recently, two very good interviews. I don't do many interviews anymore, mainly because I figured out that fellas were trying to use my name to build up their reputation or their monetization. But these 2 people, it was Clive on Ground Zero, Clyde on Ground Zero, and another one that I want you to hear below. And they're 2 good interviews pertaining to this topic and topics around magic and sorcery. And I think they're 2 of the best interviews I've done in recent times, and they're getting good reviews. And listen to them, share them, and hopefully we can prevent people from being as stupid as they were in Brooklyn yesterday. Thank you.